Welcome to the Recap Roman channel, and today I'm going to tell you the story of 2019. Before you start, subscribe and give me a like, it will help promote the channel. Subscribe to the channel, it's important because only 1% watch with a subscription, please. A young and attractive American woman named Margaret arrives in Tokyo. Japanese stewardesses English pronunciation. During the day, she sticks to English at the flight academy, and in the evenings she meets at a bar with her friends. On one of these evenings, she starts making out with the first man she meets and then returns to her friends and proposes to go in search of adventure. Left alone with Margaret, Liam starts to hint to her that they could have a good time together, but she blows him off and says he's like a brother to her. In the street, a car stops next to her and a man takes a long look at her and drives off. The girl suddenly tells her friends that it is time for her to go to the hotel where she rents a room. On the way, she enters another bar where she picks up a young Asian man with whom she goes to a love hotel where she can rent a room for an hour. When she takes off his belt, she asks him to tighten it more, and after she coughs, he lets go and says he can't go on. In the morning, Margaret runs to class a little late. Her tutor, realizing what's wrong, says she needs to take the day off because she may have caught a cold. On her way home, she stops by a bookstore where she meets Kazuo, the same man who pulled up next to her in a car last night. When she asks him what he's looking for, he looks at her and walks away, and she goes after him. They arrive at the Love Hotel and Margaret asks him to tie her hands. He is a little embarrassed but still complies with her request. After all the business, she goes to the bathroom, and when she comes out, he has already disappeared. When evening comes, the girl goes to meet her friends again, who realize from Margaret's eyes that she has finally tried Japanese pepper. The next day after class, Kazuo waits for Margaret and offers her lunch. The couple arrive at a nice restaurant. Before entering which, Kazuo removes his shoes. Covering his holy socks, Margaret offers to go somewhere else. They have a nice conversation until they are pushed by a drunken Japanese man. The girl isn't bothered by this, but Kazuo remains on edge. When she goes to the restroom, Kazuo gets up and walks over to the Japanese grandfather and has a conversation with him. After leaving the toilet, Margaret notices that the restaurant has become very quiet and that her grandfather's noisy company has disappeared. After a bite to eat, they go back to the Hotel of Love. After their business, Kazuo confesses that he has a fiancée and will marry soon. This saddens Margaret and she goes home. In the morning, Margaret can barely get up because of going to a nightclub with her friends. At the flight academy, she has one last class before taking her exam. One of her students holds out a gift-wrapped book. Inside is a book of different poses and a business card from the Love Hotel that Kazuo gave her. When she meets him again, she asks him if he has cut off a finger since he has tattoos that make him a criminal. He says that a finger is cut off by a guilty person. She asks him if he loves his future wife. According to him, he feels devotion. As evening falls, she goes to her friend's house again. Liam introduces them to his friend Louise, who he hasn't told anyone about. In the morning, she meets Kazuo at the Flying Academy, who has a present for her with new socks. He invites her to take a train ride, but her students have pronunciation exams today. She begrudgingly agrees to go with him. He takes her to the Temple of Buddha, where it is said that one can be reborn into a new person. Leaving the temple, he tells her it's her birthday. They drive back to Tokyo. She falls asleep on the train, and when she wakes up, she realizes that Kazuo is not there. The next day, she finds out that the academy has picked her replacement and the director gives her the last envelope with her salary. She wants to justify herself, but she's not going to listen. Gathering her things, she heads for the exit, silently waving to the Japanese girl who ran out with the words that she will miss her. Margaret meets Inez, who confesses that she will soon leave Japan for good. Left all alone, she makes more and more acquaintances to dull the pain inside her. One day, while walking through the city, she spots Kazuo. The man sees his fiancée off and then goes to a hotel. Margaret follows him, but once inside she loses him. She starts knocking on all the rooms and calling for him. He sees her on the security cameras and brings her to the security room. She confesses her love to him and they do business right there. When she returns to her room, she finds an eviction notice from her room. With no other options, she takes a job at a brothel. On her first shift, she is supposed to service wealthy Japanese men, but she gets drunk and falls asleep in the restroom. Desperate, she smokes outside where she is spotted by Louise, Liam's girlfriend. She tells him that because of visa problems, he flew away. Looking at the depressed Margaret, she invites her to have a snack. In the evening, the girl walks around the city and is chased by an elderly Asian man from whom she hides in the subway. She thinks she's gotten away from him, takes out a cigarette, and he ends up behind her. They go to a love hotel. He ties her up and says he could kill her at any time. She asks him to do it. Kazuo bursts into the room and frees her. He is missing a finger, which speaks of his atoning vein to his fiancée. Margaret leaves Japan. She calls Kazuo and says she feels she is now reborn. She says goodbye to him. In the cabin, she recognizes a Japanese stewardess who was her student and who runs out to say she will miss her. They smile at each other. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, put a like and write a comment. Recap Roman. See you soon.